Open your book to page 480. So today's lesson is on solving radical equations. Radical equations means equation with the square root. Square root means radical. So here are some example of radical equations. So you have square root of x equal to 7. So when a variable is inside the square root, this is an example of radical equation. So if you have like x equal to square root of 7, this is not radical equation. Okay? So this is a radical equation. This is not. Okay? So again, the variable has to be inside the square root. So example B, you have square root of x plus 2 equal to 3. Again, see the variable is inside the square root. So this is a radical equation. Okay? So if you look at example C, again, as soon as you have variable inside the square root, it's a radical equation. Now let's go over how to solve radical equations. Okay, so let's go to example 2. You have square root of x minus 7 equal to 0. The key to solve the radical equation is you want to focus on, if there are more than one radicals, you want to focus on one at a time. So focus on a radical and you want to get a radical by itself. So get a square root by itself. Okay? So you want to get rid of all the other stuff. So plus 7 on both sides. So you got square root of x equal to 7. Right? So again, the key is get a square root by itself. The reason for that is so that you can square both sides to undo the square root. Right? Again, to undo the square root, you need to square. So you're going to get x equal to 49. And then whenever you do this, right? Whenever you square the equation, you have to check your answers, make sure it's good, because sometimes the answer is no good. So you have to come back to original equation to check, make sure it's okay, make sure it's correct. So you got 7 minus 7 equal to 0, so checks. So once it checks out, then it's good. Okay? So make sure you do the checking, because sometimes the answer you get is no good. Okay? Okay, now let's go to example 3. So you got square root of 3x minus 7 equal to square root of x plus 5. So notice right now there are two square roots, right? But don't panic. You focus on one of them. I'm going to focus on this one. Okay? But I want to preserve the original equation to do the checking. So I'm going to write this one more time. Do not mess with the original. Okay? You need to preserve that for checking your answers. So I copy this one more time. So again, I'm focused on this one. So to undo this square root, I'm going to square both sides, right? Now because I squared this side, I need to do same on this side. And so this one cancels out. I get 3x minus 7. And this time I got lucky because this one is gone too. So that's kind of nice. Okay? So now it becomes a regular solving. So minus x. So I get 2x. And this one out to plus 7, right? So plus 7. Right? Move the variable to one side. Move the number to the other side. And none of your equal sign. Notice you want none of your equal sign. It will help you to avoid a lot of mistakes. So x equal to 6, but don't box that yet. You got to check your answers. So let's come to original equation here. So 3 times 6 minus 7 equal to 6 plus 5. Let's check. So you got square root of 18 minus 7 equal to square root of 11. So 18 minus 7, it checks out. Okay? So you don't have to go all the way. As soon as you see that it checks out, you're good, then you can box your answer. Okay? So again, the key is get a square root by itself, so you can undo it by square both sides. Okay? Now let's continue. So let's go to example 4. You have square root of x plus 2 equal to 3. Again, I'm going to preserve my original, so don't mess with it. You need to keep your original so you know what is original, and so you can use it to check your answers. Okay, so again, this is my variable. So to undo the square root, I need to square both sides, right? Again, I square this side, so I have to square this side too, right? You have to do same on both sides. So this cancels out, so I get x plus 2 equal to 9. And then minus 2, so x equal to 7. Okay, so that's going to check. And from here you will see that 7 plus 2 is 9. Square root of 9 equal to 3, so it checks out. So this is it. Okay, continue on. Let's go to example 5. You have square root of 2x plus 1 equal to x. So again, you need to get the square root by itself. So you need to get rid of that. So minus 1 on both sides. So you got square root of 2x plus 1 equal to x minus 1. So now to undo the square root, right, you're solving, so you need to undo the square root. So to undo the square root, you need to square this side, you need to square this side. Right? You have to do same on both sides. So this cancels out. Now you have to be careful with this, right? You have to square this. So square that, you get x squared. You square that, you get plus. You square that, you get 1. But remember, when you square the binomial, it's a middle term. So the middle term, the sign is negative. The number is 2 times 1 is 2. Variable is x. So remember, this is very important. Okay. This is where a lot of mistakes were made. Okay? So make sure you remember the middle term. Now, because the square is on this side, because there's x squared, I need to make it equal to 0 so I can do factoring. So I'm going to move it to this side because the square is on this side, right? So this cancels out. Minus 1 cancels out. So 0 equal to x squared minus 4x. So now you're going to do factoring. Now, don't go into master product right away. You got to go through your steps. So step 1, common factor, find out the x. So you're going to get x minus 4. So from here, you're going to get x equal to 0, x equal to 4. Okay, now you have to check your answers. So I'm going to use a 0. So square root of 2 times 0 plus 1 equal to 0. So I get square root of 1 plus 1 equal to 0. So right away, I know it's no good already. Okay, so this is no good. Now, you have to check all the answers because sometimes all the answers are bad, sometimes all the answers are good, sometimes one is good, one is bad. So make sure you check all of them. So let's check number 4. Okay, so 2 times 4 plus 1 equal to 4. So this will be square root of 9 plus 1 equal to 4. So this is 3 plus 1 equal to 4. Checks out. So this is the answer. Now, you can stop anytime you want as soon as you know that it's good. Okay, for example, if you're over here, if you know that that's good already, you can just stop over here already. You don't have to keep going all the way. Okay, but you have to check, make sure it's good before you box your answer. Okay, now let's go to example 6. So again, once you know how to do this lesson, everything else is fairly easy. Okay, so again, you have this problem with 2 square roots. So again, you're going to focus on one of them. Okay, you want to isolate one of the square root. This is already isolated already. This is already by itself. So I'm going to undo this one first. So you're going to undo one square root at a time. But again, make sure that I'm going to leave this alone, right? Because I want to preserve that to check my answers. So I'm going to write this over again so I can square this side and square this. So when I square, this cancels out. So it'd be 2x minus 3 equal. Now, these are 2 terms. Okay? So these are 2 terms. You have to do the FOIL method or the shortcut, right? So when you square these, you're going to get x plus 7. So square this, you get that. You square this, you get plus. You square that, you get 4. In the middle term, it's going to be minus 4, right? 2 times 2 is 4, right? Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And you have the square root over here. Okay, so remember the middle term. Middle term, you multiply all this together. So sign is negative, number is 2 times 2 is 4, and you have the square root. Okay? So again, sign, number, square root. So now you undo, so you start with 2 square roots. So you undo one of them, so you have to repeat the process. So you want to get this by itself, so you have to get rid of all that. So I'm going to minus the x, so minus the x, so this cancels out. And I have 7 and 4, so I need to minus 11, so I minus 11, right? Again, I got 7 and 4 over here. So I end up with x minus 14 equal to, so all this cancels, I got negative 4 square root of x plus 7. Now, if there's a number in front, you try to lower it if you can. So if you can divide by 4 or divide by 2, that would be great. In this case, you cannot, right? So again, this is one term. So again, you want to go and square both sides. So that's the key. You keep repeating it. So get a square root by itself, square to undo it, and you keep repeating. You undo one at a time. Okay, so again, this square will give me x squared. This will give me a plus. This will give me a 196. And the middle term would be minus 28x, right? Negative 2 times 14 is 28x, right? Now this one, I square that, I get plus. I square that, I get 16. I square this, I get x plus 7. Okay, so make sure you square each part and use parentheses. Then you have to work these things out. So this would be 16x plus 112. Now the square is on this side, so you need to go and make it equal to 0. Okay, so now it's all like regular solving, right? So you got x squared minus 44x plus 84 equal to 0. So doing your factoring, step 1, common factor cannot. Step 2, special factor cannot. Step 4, remember cube is a step 3 you learn in Algebra 2. Okay, you will be learning that. Okay, so negative 1, negative 84, negative 2, negative 42. And that's 1, right? So again, a little bit of review on your master product. So it would be minus 2, minus 42. So you're going to get x equal to 2, x equal to 42. Now you have to check. So you come over here, you substitute all that in there. So you got 2 times 2 minus 3 equal to square root of 2 plus 7 minus 2, right? I'm checking for the 2. So I get square root of 1 equal to square root of 9 minus 2. So I got 1 equal to 3 minus 2. So check, so this is good. Then you have to check this one. Square root of 2 times 42 minus 3 equal to square root of 42 plus 7 minus 2. So I got square root of 84 minus 3 equal to square root of 49 minus 2. So I got square root of 81 equal to 7 minus 2. So I got 9 equal to 5. No good. So this one is no good. Okay, so I could check, and that's it. So again, this one is kind of a little bit more messy, but just go through the step. Again, the key is get one square root by itself, square to undo, and then move things around to get a square root by itself again. So keep repeating it until you're done. Okay? Okay, so let's go and do some practice.